What you're about to see are events leading up to the Putnam County Jail escape of Timothy Wayne Fletcher and Donnie Ray Brown on April 15, 2009. It begins with Fletcher returning from a court appearance the morning before. At 10 a.m., Timothy Fletcher is brought back to the jail from a court appearance. As he walks from behind the van, you can see him adjusting what investigators now say is a jack handle that he has removed from inside the van and hidden in a cast on his left leg. A guard, standing behind Fletcher, does not appear to notice anything unusual. It was later determined that 12 days earlier, on April 2nd, Fletcher smuggled a car jack into the jail the same way. At 10:03 a.m., Fletcher enters the booking area. 3 officers at the desk glance towards him, but also don't notice anything unusual. Fletcher then sits in the booking area for nearly 2 minutes before he is taken to a holding cell. He is never patted down. At 10:05 a.m., Fletcher walks into the holding cell and immediately begins to talk to another inmate. Investigators believe Fletcher was letting the other inmate know he smuggled something into the jail. Other inmates, glancing over, appear to have noticed something is going on. A couple of minutes later, Fletcher and the other inmate change places to block him from the camera. It is apparent the switch is deliberate when the second man looks into the camera as he moves around Fletcher. For about a minute, Fletcher is hidden behind the other inmate, and it appears as if he is making adjustments to his jail uniform. At about 2:45 that afternoon, Fletcher comes from a cell and can be seen standing at the center of the top tier of his cell block. Donnie Brown then walks up from inside the same cell. The two lean at the rail and wait for other inmates to clear the common area. Fletcher and Brown share cell 76 that can be seen at the far end of the block on its lower level. When the common area is clear, Brown heads downstairs, goes behind the stairwell, and then climbs onto a railing where he appears to grab something from near the ceiling. As he comes down, he tucks it close to his body and hurries into his cell. Investigators believe this is when Brown retrieved the jack that had been stashed overhead above a light fixture. During the night, cell checks are performed every hour. After Fletcher and Brown were captured, they told detectives they were gone by about 2 a.m. However, in the 1:55 a.m. check, the officer flashes a light into the cell and later tells his supervisors he believed he saw Brown's hand during the check. The same officer performs checks at 2:48 and 3:55 a.m. Both times, he briefly flashes the light into the cell. He later tells his supervisors it is difficult to see into the cell because an overhead light is out and the corner is dark. Just after 5 a.m., breakfast is brought into the cell block and an officer begins a cell check, walking around the common area and then to the cell block before sitting at the top of the stairs. Shortly after 5:07 a.m., he walks downstairs and enters cell 76. After approximately 40 seconds, inmates are ordered back into their cells. At about 5:10 a.m., the lieutenant in charge of the night shift is notified to come back to the cell block. 3 officers enter the cell block, one going upstairs to address a faulty door, while the others immediately check cell 76. After a couple of minutes, an officer leaves to retrieve a flashlight and returns to the cell. While inside, they discovered bedding and other material made up to look as if one person was sleeping on the floor and another on the bed. All 3 officers were out of the cell by 5:15 a.m. Fletcher and Brown escaped by using the jack to tear loose a sink and toilet combination, and then crawled through the wall opening to an access panel that led to the outside. Once out of the cell block, they crawled under and climbed over fencing, then squeezed through a gate to an open field. The men were arrested on April 18, 2009. They have been charged with murder and the slaying of Fletcher's step-grandmother, who was found dead in her home several miles from the jail. The 2 fugitives traveled across the southeast in stolen vehicles, then were caught when they returned to Putnam County. For more on the Putnam Jail escapees, see Dana Treen's story in the Sunday Florida Times-Union and on Jacksonville.com. For Jacksonville.com, I'm Kelly Jordan.